All right, good morning. Help me with the affirmation. Together, in one spirit, we see God everywhere, in everyone, and in everything. All right. So, we got good news.
Back to driving around with the windows down.
Got a new baby.
All
I
right.
got a new friend out in the truck.
Oh, good. That's good.
I turned 40 about a month ago. We weren't here.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Geez, you just grew up.
That's
Yeah.
right. Now
That's
I know
it.
it all.
That's right.
You're up over the hill.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can tell you what happens when you hit 50.
Well, Barney, no. You can tell what happens when you hit 50 if you rode a motorcycle very fast and broke every bone in your body. Well, multiple times. That's you can tell that story. A normal person, you don't know that story. Okay, who needs to go on the prayer list?
Billy.
All right. So the talk this morning is about work, and I was going to tell a story about work. I like to tell it right before Christmas. I've told it a couple of times, but since it's about work, it's a good time to tell it right now. I'm thinking it's now about 5 years, maybe 6 years ago. Debbie sent me to Beefaroo to get a ham sandwich, ham and Swiss. And I go there and it's very crowded. It's right before Christmas, but it's very crowded and everybody's mad and people are complaining and the manager is like barking at people and everything's just like you can just see the people in line are getting upset because the stuff's not coming fast enough and there's no French fries in the bin and the manager yells at the French fry guy. And he takes this huge scoop of French fries that he had just poured out of the basket into the bin there where it drains, right? He takes this huge scoop of French fries and he flings it across the entire, French fries were flying everywhere and he said, "Happy freaking Christmas." He didn't say freaking though. And walked out. Not a good job experience. The manager was just standing there looking. What happens next? So now I thought the manager probably bore some responsibility for what happened, right? But still, I thought probably best to be kind to her. So I acted like I hadn't witnessed any of this embarrassment. Thanked her profusely for giving me what. But so this is the work experience. The work experience is, you go there, you put yourself in a mindset of you're there to do something. We're going to talk about that today. But it's also an environment. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about how to establish an environment that is conducive to harmony. So let's get quiet. We'll do the meditation. Just relax right where you're at. And just notice your breath. put your attention there, but really think about it. Just experience it. You don't have to try to change it in any way. Just notice how it feels. And as you breathe in, you're filled. And as you breathe out, you just naturally relax. Tell yourself, I am focused. I am focused. Through mindful effort, I serve. We are on a spiritual journey that is marked by certain milestones: surrender, faith, will, wisdom, understanding and order, responsibility, forgiveness, presence, vision, and zeal. These are our various gifts, gifts that we have received, and gifts that are then ours to give. These are the gifts that lead to enlightenment, which comes when we are fully mindful of them, able to integrate them into our Buddha nature. So we practice. And with every practice, every time we apply these principles, they become more our own. We can visualize ourselves putting all of these abilities into action in our lives. No matter what problem we may encounter, we remember that our purpose is to serve. Our purpose is to be helpful. We're on a mission to alleviate suffering, to return to love, to wake up. We say amen and amen. So we've been talking about mindfulness for the past few weeks, to pay attention, to be present. So this mindfulness is it's a component of almost every spiritual pursuit in some way or other. A lot of like religions don't focus on it a lot, but if you read their literature, it's in there. Sometimes it gets overlooked, but mindfulness is this a path to reality. It's a path out of the mindless looping thoughts that we have most of the time. The self-referential kind of thinking that the Buddhists call monkey mind. That this mind that keeps leaping from one thing to another in pursuit of something the ego is promising will make us feel better. Either the pursuit is like this: either we're seeking pleasure or we're trying to avoid pain. Those are the two things that these mindless thoughts are concerned with. And it turns out that trying to avoid pain makes it worse, and trying to pursue pleasure makes it ever elusive. It's very strange how it works. And the pleasure we find then is not quite what we expected, or at least not as long lasting as we'd hoped. But reality, we think about this as what the Course in Miracles says reality is and this goes along with Buddhist thinking and with the Hindus before them, is that the ultimate reality is this state of total non-duality. That the ultimate reality is non-duality. In other words, no me and you, no us and them, just we. In the ultimate sense, the Course in Miracles describes that as actually the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven, which is available to us anytime we actually become willing enough to enter in. Not when you die, but right now. But the Buddhists have a practice that, this mindfulness practice, what it does is it trains us to observe the symbol of that ultimate reality, the symbol of the state of total non-duality, and that symbol is the interconnectedness of all things, the interconnectedness of all life. That what mindfulness does is it trains us to realize that the self that we can become so involved in is actually not real, and that it's not a real individual thing, that actually we are a part of something greater than ourselves. So this then, that idea of in the world, in the universe that we observe, that if we're paying attention, if we're really mindful of the present moment, we will see that we are part of it, and that we are linked to everything and every living being in it. And it changes, once we start doing this on a regular basis, it changes the way we think. And it changes the way that we approach life. And it turns out, it sounds as if it's very communist. It sounds as if it's, at least it's socialist. But it turns out that it's the path to happiness. It's actually the path to lasting happiness. To realize that everything we do has an impact on everything else to one degree or another. And that we, since we are part of everything else, that of course includes us. So what's good for everyone is what's good for us. Now, this is different than thinking about, and I'm going to make this point every single time we talk about this, because there is a principle that's called the greater good. That principle is a fallacy. The greater good means that it's better if we sacrifice Barney if we can save ourselves. Doesn't have to be Barney. Could be whoever you want to pick, right? And that would then be the ancient idea of the scapegoat, usually. So we sacrifice one for the good of the many. This is not really a spiritual principle. It's been practiced forever. It's the excuse for almost every atrocity that has ever occurred. In the name of, we're going to do this for the greater good. But the common welfare, which is what we're talking about here as far as everything being connected, the common welfare means that which is best for everyone involved. The problem is we tend not to look for that. We tend to look for, if a sacrifice can be made, let that person be sacrificed. Or we do it to ourselves. We sacrifice our own well-being, thinking that's the best thing for everybody else, but it really isn't. And I'm not saying that we should pursue a self-centered interest, but just to realize that sacrifice is just not called for. So we are living in the midst of this phenomena, having these experiences that change every single moment. And so what that means is that we are changing every single moment in the midst of this world that we observe, and the world also along with us. The ultimate reality never changes. This is where it's beyond the illusion that we're seeing now. But in this material world, from time to time, you need material. So you go to work. You do work. And if we do mindful work, we can be happy in our work. If we do mindless work, we will not be happy. And when I say mindless work, I don't mean work that doesn't need intelligence. I mean mindless work where we're always self-referential. Mindless work where we are not fully engaged in what we're doing. We're just going through the motions, get through the day, pushing on, thinking about what's going to happen after, or caught up in ruminations about how, boy, this job really sucks. This job really sucks every single day, man. I don't know how I do it. How do I keep coming back here? We'll even call somebody. We'll call somebody up and say, I hate this. This is ridiculous, man. You know that guy down there, he did that same stuff all over again. I don't know if I can come in tomorrow. This is mindlessness, right? Now, I want to say a few things about it that if we begin with this job may be today. What I want to suggest is that there is a place in that job for happiness. Most likely, there is. There are a couple of things that may exclude it from having the potential for happiness. But for the most part, no matter what we do for a living, there is potential for happiness. And where we begin to find that is thinking about our work as being a help, thinking about the work that we do as being of service to someone else. Now, the best is if we can actually see that the work that we do is of service to all living things. I mean, this is great. We have a job like that. It's terrific. We might have a job like that and then not even realize that it is because we're caught up in all that mindlessness. But so we're mindful of what we go to, at the least, no matter what kind of work we have, like if we were making French fries at Beefaroo, we could think that we're being of service to those who want French fries. I was going to say need French fries, but nobody needs French fries. I know you think you do. But so the idea is I'm going to be like in the midst of this job, and I'm going to be of service. And the service is not denigrating to us. The service is actually elevating. And Jesus was clear about this. He said, your servants will be the greatest among you. And what he was talking about, really, he was not talking about the guy that was cleaning out the stable, although he might have been. But he wasn't talking about that specifically. He wasn't talking about the guy that poured your wine. But again, the guy that poured your wine could be. He's talking about this whole idea of those who are interested in being of service are the greatest. And see, we don't want to think about it that way, greatest as being in the hierarchy of things, just thinking about it in terms of, could say the happiest, could say the most fulfilled. So to do no harm, this is like really important when choose a job. To look at the job and say, is this what I'm doing? Does it cause harm? Is it a benefit? And there's jobs that very nice people work and even go to work with an idea of being of service, that if you really look closely, the ultimate end of their job is actually not for the common welfare. And each person has to come to this. I mean, my teacher said if you work for a company that makes instruments of destruction, you might want to look at it. He wasn't saying quit, but he was saying you might want to look at it. I mean, you could be the best employee ever, but you might want to look at what's going on. Now, he didn't say quit, by the way. And there's an interesting story about this. Just a very short. It's called the bird catcher. And the bird catcher, and now in these times, in these old times, the bird catcher would catch the bird, and of course, probably somebody would eat the bird. Okay, just to be clear about what's going on here. So the bird catcher said to the teacher, "My family's always been bird catchers. If we stop, we'll starve." But doing this bad work, evil work, thinking about the benefit of all, I mean, of course, we're talking about the ideal of being a vegetarian here. Of course, we get to that. But doing this evil work, can I still reach Buddhahood? Can I still become enlightened? And the teacher answered, the mind goes to hell, not the body. So that could be a whole talk right there. So when you kill a bird, take your mind and kill it too. Doing this, you can reach Buddhahood. So he's saying in the midst of this work, when you do this work, which you actually know is probably not for the highest good, when he says kill your mind, he's talking about the self-centered mind. Kill your need, kill your avarice, kill your greed, kill all the reasons why you would think you must absolutely hold on to this job. And over time, what will occur is you will probably find a better job. This is the reason when people look at what they're involved in and they say, you know what? I've had it happen to me. It seemed like I was doing a service, but now I see there's potential for harm. And at first you go, wait a minute. I need that money. I've gotten used to that money. I need it. And there's all these reasons. Well, what if I stop? Then what? Be mindful. Be quiet. Consider what's happening in the moment. And this is the thing about pain. When we put our attention on the pain that comes to us and all of these fears about not having enough, that's pain. We put our attention on that pain and really look at it for what it is, we will see that it will dissipate. Even pain of the body, and sometimes we have chronic pain and it won't go away, but we will get to the point where it's here and we're here. We can tolerate. So we put our mind in the present moment. So when we get this, whatever job we have, part of being of service is, I'm going to say this but now it's being abused by employers, but I'm going to say it anyway. Get there early and stay late. Get there a little bit early and stay a little bit late, okay? Because this principle is like gotten ingrained into folks. They're actually afraid to go home, go to sleep. They think they got to stay on the job forever. No. But the idea, it's just a practical idea. If I get to work a little bit early, I can prepare myself and be when work is actually supposed to start, I can be right on it, right? And then if I'm not just watching the clock to see what time it is, just waiting for that thing to click over so that I can run out the door as fast as I can, I'm going to be a lot calmer. I'm going to be a lot more at peace. And it just stay a couple minutes more after I see that it's time to go home to clean up a little bit, put things back in order. So the next thing, and this goes along with this whole idea of not taking what's not given. And this is a difficult thing for a lot of people in their workplace. Don't take stuff, I was going to say another word, don't take stuff that is not given. I mean, and listen, it seems like just a small thing. Do not take a pencil. Take nothing that's not given. Not because the pencil's a big deal, it's not. But it's just one more burden that is added, right? We try to be mindful and keep ourselves on this path of endeavoring to do what we know is the correct thing. So I know that, and I don't want anybody who took a pencil home, I don't care if you took a pencil, I don't care if you took a copier home. I am saying, just examine it. Just look at it. Hey, Democratic National Committee. I'm not endorsing them. I'm not allowed to, but they're looking for money. They may call you later. So pay attention. If I look at what my habits are at work and I see that I have been taking things that weren't given, I don't want to be guilty about it. I don't want to, because all that does is it sets up this identity thing where I think that's who I am. I'm the person who takes stuff from work. Just examine it and say, you know what? I'm going to endeavor. I'm going to try not to do this anymore. The reason is because it's a burden. It's a burden. I mean, okay, I think I made the point. So and then work is about this practice of improvement, to try to part of being mindful, being in the midst of the work. And this, I've got experience with this working on an assembly line. I've experienced with this working in a number of different areas and jobs that were very technical, where things had to be designed and then presented. Whatever work it is, to totally immerse ourselves into the work while we're doing it. How many times we're sitting at work, we're thinking about what's going on at home. And then when we're at home, we're thinking about something at work. This whole mindfulness thing is about getting into the place where we're at right now. So I want to be at work. I want to be doing my job to the best of my ability. Yes, for one reason I want to do my job to the best of my ability is because someone's paying me to do it. And that's to give me a job. They're paying me. I'm supposed to do it to the best of my ability. But really, the most important thing is when I do the job to the best of my ability, I feel good. I feel correct about it. Everything seems to be flowing. If I'm just doing just enough to get by, it really is true that there are people, and I have been one of these people, who actually work harder to get out of work than it is to just go ahead and do it. So we want to practice this idea of improvement too, to try to keep honing our skills, to keep moving forward, to be exemplary. And then the idea of not speaking. This goes along with the tenet about not speaking falsely. The endeavor not to speak falsely is to say good things about your employer. If you can't say, if it's so bad you can't say anything good about your employer, get out of there. I mean, really, if you look at it and you see that this is untenable, I know for myself that I got totally caught up in this. I only had to go to the office one day a week, and it was the most miserable day of the week. I would go into the office, and it was like I called it the Tuesday morning bloodbath. You would go in there. The president of the company would come in, and he would cut everybody's throat. I mean, this was his Tuesday morning activity. And I would get on the phone, and as soon as I left there, I'd get on the phone and call my wife and tell her all the terrible things that the boss did today. Relive it, make it worse, be more upset on the phone talking to her about it than I was while the stuff was happening. And then totally what I do, I just set up a total dread of coming back next Tuesday, which I had to do. And so what I started doing was I started paying attention in the room and giving love into the room, and it got better. And I stopped complaining about it. So we need to speak well of our company and of our employer. And really, if we can't find anything good, it really is time to look for something else. So, and then in these endeavors, and I called it at the top of the page on the program, this is heroic effort. And to think about yourself that way, you're going into work and you're going to perform some heroic effort today, and so from time to time you're going to succeed, and you're going to be praised. And from time to time, you are going to fail and you are going to be criticized. Sometimes you may be criticized unfairly. Sometimes you may get praise that you did not earn. Regardless, A good practice would be to simply say, thank you for saying so, if it is praise. Thank you for saying so. Thank you for noticing. And go on. Spend very little time involved with the praise. When there's criticism, say, thank you for bringing that to my attention. If it's unfair, say, maybe you don't want to say thank you for bringing that to my attention, but you could say, you may be right. I didn't say you were right. I said you may be right. Tell me more about that and see what happens. So what do we do? When we're praised, the ego gets a boost, but also the ego like comes in the back door and says, that's not you. You don't even deserve that. But one side is going, oh yeah, oh yeah. The other side's going, you're not any good. You know, and then but still you're going, no, right? Give me more. No. And when we're criticized, we want to go immediately to defense. The mind jumps immediately to defense. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. Clearly, I am being unfairly treated here. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. You may be right. Tell me more about that. And listen. For sure. Two things are going to happen. People are going to be, whoever gave you the criticism is going to be shocked that you just accepted it. They're not going to know what the heck to do. But the second thing that's going to happen, they're going to realize that you actually are interested in finding out how not to make that same mistake again. And then thinking, and I was thinking about this. There's a lot of people. I believe in positive thinking. Okay, let me just get that out there. I believe in positive thinking. I think that that positive thoughts and trying to maintain a positive thought stream is important. But negative thoughts come to mind. They should not be pushed away. They need to be examined. They need to be accepted. We need to put our attention on them and then watch them change into something else. We push them away, it's no good. But also, I think sometimes more importantly, positive action is more important than positive thinking. Because if I get caught up in a negative thought stream and then I act out on that, it can't help but continue to get worse. There's no way that me being caught in negativity and then acting negatively is going to help the situation. Can't work. So there's two-pronged attack, so to speak, or two approaches. Is if we're mindful, see, we don't automatically react. We don't just jump and do something unfortunate. If we're mindful, we have a moment where we can decide what to do. And for sure, the decision needs to be some kind of positive action. I know I read somewhere that when we examine ourselves, we usually find that we are doing better than we are feeling. So, we want to observe, we want to change negative thinking, but we also want to remember at least to act positively. And then we're back to the breath. We breathe. We breathe into every task. This is the thing that's so helpful because the reason that this works so well for mindfulness, focusing on the breath, is because the breath is always with us. The breath is always with us. And then, now one of the things that when we first start practicing this, we may think that when we're putting our attention on our breath, that means we're thinking about our breath. But that's not, it's just about being in the experience of the breath. Just being in the experience, being quiet and just noticing. Notice that when the air comes through the nostrils, it's a little bit cooler. And when it comes out, it's a little bit warmer. Noticing the rise and fall of the abdomen, of the chest. Just noticing that, right? No, without trying to change the breath, because a lot of times, the only thing is, well, a lot of times we find that we're not breathing. When we start looking at it, we're not breathing. So I suggest that that's the only time we change our breath. When we find out that we're holding our breath or that we're breathing like these little short, shallow breaths, we might want to change that. Oh, there we go. God, I knew I was dizzy. I was about to like fall over because I wasn't breathing. just breathe. And the more we pay attention to the breath, we will notice that the more our breath becomes uniform and the less time we will find that we are holding our breath or that we are in that very shallow breathing. So all of this, and I'm going to end with this, as this is, I don't want to hold you hostage, but all of this is to say that this work, this heroic effort, and there's a lot more material in the thing, but in the program, but you get that every day. If you go on the website, you'll get a piece of it. But this is the one for tomorrow, is this idea of this all leads to happiness. There's being able to stay in the moment at work, no matter what the work is that we're doing, it leads to happiness. So, and we should remember that, look, there's an opportunity to take joy in this. And a couple of stories that Thich Nhat Hanh, it says in the very beginning of his first book, he says, when you wash the dishes, wash the dishes. Wash the dishes to wash the dishes. Don't wash the dishes so that you will be done washing the dishes. Wash the dishes. Feel the soap on your hands. Feel how slippery it is as you feel the whole business. Feel the warmth. Feel the water growing cold after you've been standing there. Note, wash the dishes. When you wash the dishes to wash the dishes, it becomes a joy and not a burden. Now, you could trick somebody in your house into washing the dishes now if you just tell them that. So, Brother Lawrence, when the abbot called Brother Lawrence was the lowliest monk in the entire monastery. He had to do all of the bad work. And now this, we're talking about, he was a monk in 1400 something. And he had to scrub the pots and pans and peel the potatoes. But he was the happiest guy there. He was illiterate. The abbot brings him into his office and he says, I got to know what's happening here. You get stuck with all the worst stuff. How is it that you are obviously the happiest person here? And he said, I am happy because no matter what I do, scrub the pots and pans or peel the potatoes, I practice the presence of God. Peel the potatoes to peel the potatoes. You peel the potatoes as a service. He scrubbed the pots, and think about scrubbing the pots and pans in the 1400s. I don't think there was any detergent. I don't even know how you're doing that. Use sand first, right? Use sand, scrub it. I don't know. To take joy in all that we do, and to realize that when we're mindful and we're in the midst of this work as a joy, that actually all that we do is good. To be happy. To be happy to do whatever is ours to do, whatever task falls to us. That's the thing right now. This is my task right now. I'm going to put my attention on it. I'm going to do it. This attitude is a key component to our effort. So we have to learn how to stay with the task, even those that we don't like to do. And just notice it. When I don't like this. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. So where am I going to get the joy out of that? Put your attention on the task, whether you like it or not. Notice that you don't like it. It's fine. It's okay. It will not kill you, probably. Just put your attention on it, and look what happened. And then put your attention on through the whole thing, not thinking about, oh man, this is going to be done. Take about 5 more minutes. I'll be done with this. Let that thought go. Do our work for the joy of the doing. We think about what the experience would be like if we were able to bring this sense of happiness to each piece of work, to see ourselves doing each thing as an act of love. And just think about it that way. Who benefits from this task that just fell to you that you may not want to do? Who benefits? See yourself giving them a gift. Do not see yourself sacrificing for them. Because if you see yourself sacrificing for them, you're just making this tally sheet where they owe you all of these things that you're doing for them that you don't want to do. Make it a free gift. You're giving them a gift. You're giving them service. To see yourself doing each thing. To see as an act of love. To think about unexpected things that come up in the midst of other tasks. Oh no, I'm in the middle of this thing and I'm being interrupted. It's much better to finish, if at all possible, to finish the original task. Every study that they do about multitasking shows it does not work. You may think you're doing it, but you are not doing it. All you're doing is dividing your attention. and you're giving this portion to that and this portion to that, it does. And people, young people actually think that they're good at it. It turns out the more you do it, the worse you get at it. And it's not me. This is not my opinion. But still, companies think they want to encourage people to do it. It turns out that if you put your attention on something that's in front of you, it actually gets done better. And then go to the next thing. Sometimes, though, something is urgent. Put your entire attention on what is urgent. Forget about what you were doing a moment ago. Don't think you're going to switch back and finish what was urgent and then go back. Give love to it. How would the day go? This is the question. How would the day go? And you know already. Nobody has to say anything. How would the day go if we were able to take joy in our work? How's that look?